want to say welcome everyone. And, this is a wonderful Saturday. I hope that everyone is getting out to enjoy their day. I have a very, very special guest today. And I am so excited. Y'all don't even understand how excited I am. But before I tell you who my guest is, I need everyone to click, like, and share. Click, like, and share. Sharing is caring because these are some of the things that we need to get out in the community and to share them. If we want our community to be better, I need everyone to help be a part of what I'm trying to help to do, to be transparent and talk about the things that are going to make our community a better place for all of us, to make an inclusive community, inclusive to everyone. So my special guest today is, I guess if I could do a drum roll, it's Joseph Scapani. And he is, I'm not going to say local, you are like a worldwide artist because you're now in New Mexico.
Not new. Well, I'm in old Mexico. I'm not in New Mexico.
You in
I'm in
you not
real Mexico.
you in real. Oh wow, real. Oh God. So those are the pictures that we see when you say you're in that's the jungle
I'm in
and
the jungle in the south of Mexico, very south in Acamal between Playa del Carmen and Tulum. About an hour south of Cancun Airport.
You are in the real Mexico. So
Yeah, I'm in the real Mexico.
that's right.
We
Well, it
have
all looks
we
beautiful
have
when
a
I
Mayan ruin in the Puebla here in the
you're
city
kidding.
here. So
Oh wow.
yep.
Wow.
And I'm only
Well,
15 minutes away from the Tulum ruins.
oh my goodness,
So
15?
yeah. Yep.
See, and I've said, look, I thought you were in New Mexico, so
Yeah.
thank you for correcting me because I had actually invited myself a couple of weeks ago to your home.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome to come down to Mexico.
Listen, I love
But it's
Mexico.
real Mexico. It's beautiful down here.
And I love Mexico.
Yes.
I have had a great time but tequila and me in Mexico, I mean, that's a whole nother story. Whole nother story.
That might be
So
fun. That might be fun.
listen, we would have a ball. We would have a
Oh yeah.
ball. But I want everyone introduce yourself and tell everyone, who you are and what it is that you do.
All right. Well, I'm Joe Scapani. Uh I was the director of Flint Public Art Project from 2015 to earlier this year until Sandra's branch took over. I am now the operations director. So I'm working more behind the scenes now, and Sandra's got all the hard work now to pull the weight. So over the last 5-6 years, we've installed about 307 murals throughout the city of Flint.
307.
Yep.
That's a whole lot of murals.
Oh
And where
yeah,
all have you placed these murals at?
they're all over the city. You
They
know what?
become landmarks where people say, go to. When I spoke to you the other day, like the
Pixel.
one with the horses, they were like, oh, that's on Clio Road.
Yep.
They're like landmarks now around Flint.
Yeah.
If you see Anthony Bourdain, oh, that's downtown at the
Yep.
law. So they're now landmarks. We may not remember the streets or which direction, but we know places by those beautiful murals that you have been painting.
Yep.
So what made you start painting murals
Well,
in the
Sandra
city of
Branch was actually the big key person behind it. She's been doing murals and trying to get a mural project going for years before we started doing murals. And I think we met in about 2014, 2015
Mhm.
and started collaborating on some smaller projects. And then she became part of Flint Public Art Project, I think in 2016. And during the water crisis, we did a lot of listening, trying to redevelop Flint Public Art Project's programs. Because before we did a Free City Festival, was like a Burning Man style festival in Chevy in the Hole. We That was our signature event for many years until they turned that area into a park, and which is Chevy Commons, which is beautiful. And So that was our signature event, that and the neighborhood art parades. And then when shoving the hole kind of went away, we tried to figure out, okay, what's the next thing for us? So we went to a lot of different places, a lot of different meetings, a lot of different neighborhood groups, just kind of listening in. And one of the things that we noticed, this is around the time when the Netflix show Flint Town just came out, and
Mhm.
people were, I mean, I was too when I watched it. It was like you're purposely showing the blight and everything in the show.
Right.
You are blurring out the nice, the good parts of the city and just showing it to look like it's a third world country when there's a bunch of beautiful things and a bunch of things, beautiful things that community members there are doing. And people are upset about that. So we had some conversations with some focus groups, and it's like, how do we get people to ask what's behind the blur? You
Mhm.
know? And how do we get this to stop? And started throwing around ideas, painting buildings solid colors, bright, fun colors, kind of more artsy. And Sandra's like, why don't we put murals on them? Make them big outdoor galleries. Let's put a big outdoor gallery all throughout the city. And so one of our jokes is, you know, we never got our own gallery, so we just took the whole city. Um,
You literally did.
and so
Literally.
and it's been a great program because through the process we worked with so many different community members to figure out what they want. One of my big sayings is, even though I lived in Flint at the time while we were doing it, I don't drive down in every neighborhood every day. You're the one that has to drive down your road every day. You're the one that needs to tell me what you want to see, not me telling you what you need to see. So we really wanted to focus on making this project a real community project and not be like a lot of other mural organizations that just focus on the downtown area, but also put them in the neighborhoods and put them out there so everybody can enjoy it. It's a
Well, I
project
think
for it's the project for the whole community of Flint.
Well, I think you and Sandra achieved that goal beautifully because they are, like I said, they're landmarks, or as you two state, it's a gallery, and there's appreciation, and it brings together people's different point of views because art can be subjective, and everyone's opinion about art isn't the same; it's subjective. But I
Right.
thank you for that because art brings people together. Matter of fact, your one of the murals, the street murals, came up in our city council meeting
Yep.
this past Monday, and it was the Black Lives Matter, where Yolandra Gentry came and spoke that she had wanted to, they had set to retouch and repaint the Black Lives Matter mural. And
Yep.
she spoke, which I'm glad people, and this is why people have to get involved. When we get involved, we can start to get things going. And she came and she spoke because she spoke at council. And
Yeah.
so some of the information or misinformation which was given was that the mural was not, which came from our vice president of the city council. She had stated that the mural, she was told that it was dangerous, that the Michigan Department of Transportation, or MDOT, said that it shouldn't be repainted if a car drove into it. And she came up with all these hypothetical situations which were not true.
Well, I mean, these
And
are the same things that we heard from the mayor.
okay.
And one MDOT does not agree with that.
Well,
Uh,
you're correct. MDOT, Ron Funger, did write a story in the story. If you can put, hold on, just if you can put the story up, Mickey, so I can do the headlines. The story and the headlines of the retouching, because they also sent the police out there too to make sure people didn't, with the family and the volunteers, they didn't retouch the paint. So let's see, because
what makes me laugh about that? Okay, one, the process of doing that. So in that theory, that means we should not be putting white lines in the paint. We should not be putting seal coat on the bricks or the concrete downtown because those will be unsafe. Because the process of doing this is the base coat is that white line paint, which is textured paint. We buy it from the exact same place that the state buys it from, the city buys it from, everybody else buys it from. That yellow and white paints. So that goes on your baseline. Then after that, there's a thin coat of spray paint on there, not enough to take away the texture. And then
Right.
above that is another texture sealant. That is the same sealant that they're going to be putting on the bricks
So
downtown.
so
So
the
if
head.
that is unsafe, then
Mhm.
you need to take out the cross guards. You need to block off the downtown and not let anybody, because those are going to be slick, just as slick as that mural is going to be.
And see, and then here's the article that came up because Ron Funger wrote an article. It says Flint blocks volunteers from repainting Black Lives Matter mural. And so, as you just stated, so you use the same paint, which is the texture paint, which is the same as the crosswalks. It's the same as the creme blue line that they
Yep.
have also. That's all over the city for the
Actually, it's
time.
better than the creme blue line
Oh,
because the
it's
creme
better.
blue line is a different. It's one that's made to dissolve faster.
Okay.
So it's a different type of paint. So it's the same one as they use on the yellow and white lines in the road.
Hmm.
Is the base coat on that. Only thing different about the process of this is the spray paint that goes in between, and it's so thin it does not take away the texture. And there's still another layer of sealant that has the texture in it.
Okay, so I'm going to read what the city said. The city said the city of Flint understands street murals to pose a variety of traffic concerns, and we will not allow them. City Administrator Clyde Edwards said in a statement to MLive in the Flint Journal. In addition to following guidance that the city of Flint received from the MDOT via email last time in 2020, we continue to follow the guidance of the City of Flint traffic control specialist. Edwards stated in a statement concerning came hours after he initially laid the blame for the no paint decision at the feet of MDOT. MDOT came back and said, "We didn't say that." A spokesperson from MDOT later told the Journal that the claim was not true. That
Well,
was a lie.
the funny thing is, you know who we learned the process of how to do this from?
Where?
MDOT.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a
When
minute.
we did it back in 2020,
Wait a minute.
that's who told us the process to
Wait
do
a
it.
minute. So, and by the
And what do you
way,
think?
so
Material.
MDOT told you the process because here it is. Black Lives Matter street murals are everywhere. They are
Yep.
LA, Grand Blanc, they're New York,
Well,
they're
not
Dallas.
Grand Blanc is a
Every,
Grand Blanc mural, but
okay.
there's street murals almost in all the major cities in the United States. I think Grand Rapids has them, Chicago has them, St.
Oh,
Petersburg,
yeah.
Miami,
San
all kinds
Francisco.
of places. Atlanta, there's all Caltran, which is one of the hardest people to get approved for stuff like that, has approved them.
So MDOT
And I've
told you
worked
the
with Caltran.
process and you followed those guidelines.
Yes. We
Yeah.
followed the MDOT guidelines when we were doing that, except for sealing it because they wouldn't let us seal it when we were working on it, which is a shame because, you know, I assisted on that. Sandra led that project because I I don't want to dictate what someone else is feeling, what someone else's emotions are, what someone else is going through at that time. Because even though I feel the pain, I understand what they're going through. I'm not a person of color, and I don't understand. I don't have that same feeling, and I
Right.
don't want to dictate to somebody else what they should be feeling and what it should look like. And I'm like, I told Sandra, you can take the lead on this. I will do whatever you need to do. I will go get paint. I will set up everything. I will budget it. I will find money. I'll do whatever. Community Foundation funded it for us. So I mean, we had a lot of things. I'm like, I'll do whatever you need. I
To
don't
get it
I don't
done.
want to be the person to tell you what you're going to be putting on there, and I don't want to tell you who's going to be putting it on there. You tell me what you need, and I'm going to get it, and we're going to do it. And the most beautiful thing about that mural was during this time of kind of the pandemic, everybody kind of going crazy with that. The Black Lives Matter big movement with George Floyd, and watching the community, black, white, gay,
Mhm.
straight, young, old, all
It was
kinds of
inclusive.
people in this community just coming together
Mhm.
and uniting and doing this. And blocking the retouching of this mural to me is blocking a healing process for the majority of our community. majority of the black community in Flint that, you know, this symbolizes something. This symbolizes we matter as much as anybody else in the city does.
Thank you for that.
And when when our administration blocks that, it to me it's sending a message saying no, you don't.
Well, and I'm going to get into some of that other stuff later too. And I agree with you. And people can say, well, you're a black, well, not people. It was said at our meeting, but I'm not going to get into all of that.
Yeah.
That we have a black mayor, we have a black city administrator, we have a black police chief, we have a black fire chief. In other words, we have black people in very high key positions in the city of Flint, but still and yet we're having as a majority city that is black that we can't get a Black Lives Matter street mural retouched that was stopped by our black administration who are department heads and our mayor. So that, so when MDOT stated, I want, and because people were
Yeah.
upset at MDOT, people were really angry, like, how could MDOT stop this? MDOT didn't. And I'm going to read what MDOT states because we need to be fair.
Yep.
MLK, Martin Luther King Boulevard is a locally owned road and does not require an MDOT permit. Agency spokesperson Jocelyn Garza said in an email to the Flint Journal on Tuesday. MDOT remains supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement and Juneteenth events. Should there be a need in the future for permitting of this nature on an MDOT trunk line, our department will work to ensure a streetscape mural does not interfere with the federal aid qualifications. So they're dedicating and they're saying,
Yep.
hey, you're not in this. You're not going to lay that at our feet. You're
Nope.
not going to do that. So when you painted this mural last in 2020, after it was done, I know there was a process. You got a phone call.
Yeah.
And what was that phone call?
I got a phone call from the mayor wanting me to come into his office because, you know, after we got permission, he ended up saying we didn't have permission. You know, it's like, wait a minute, what? You know, and I don't know, then started chewing us out because I think he got in trouble. Some people called and yelled at him because we had some people drive by there with their Confederate flags and all this other stuff, yelling obscenities while we were painting. They even had the police there watching over for our safety. So, I mean, if he doesn't know what his police officers are doing, then I guess really has a problem while we were painting. And, you know, I mean, this is my thing is like, okay, you know what? If this is causing any person of color problems, someone's calling them, yelling at them, insulting them, or whatever they're doing, send them my way. I don't care. You can tell me all the stuff you want because I'm going to tell you what I think of you. Because if you don't, you know, we're all humans. We all love each other. We all need to work together. We all live in this place. We're all the same. You know, get over yourself.
And we
You
have
know,
to clear space.
if they don't like it and he doesn't want to deal with them, tell him to call me. I don't care. I'll deal with them.
You know, and it was so, like I said, it brought everyone together in a time that during the pandemic, you know, Flint had, we had a water crisis, a pandemic. You know, Flint has been hit with things that other cities had not been hit with. And this was such a positive project that brought people together. And it was a streetscape. And to hear that it was blocked, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable that at our council meeting, that misinformation was going out to the public that this should not, you know, all this, it's bad, you can't do it, a car's gonna go off into something. No, that's not what happened. You stated, just to go back, MDOT is the one who taught you how to do it, who set the guidelines, the Michigan Department of Transportation. And we know if nothing else, they should know roads because that's what
the thing is, you know how many studies have there's so many studies that have been done on this, how streetscape murals are actually a great traffic tamer. They reduce accidents in areas by up to 50% and sometimes greater if it's in the middle of an intersection.
Well, and that's a good thing because people, I mean, I was proud and I still am proud. And I would hope that we can get other Black Lives Matter and community members that we can still get this done to retouch it because it has faded. You know, our weather, we have inclement weather. We go through all the seasons and it does need to be retouched. Now, what was disturbing to me was, we didn't really know, the commitment that, you got chewed out after, it was done,
Yeah,
because the city made it a great issue. Can you
right.
bring that up, Mickey?
I mean,
And where they kind of claimed the success of it, but on the backside, it was
I,
like a
we're gonna
fake
blame you.
claim.
Like we had nothing to do with it. It's all your fault, which I don't care. If you want to do that, go ahead, blame me. I will take the blame for the whole community. I don't really care. Okay, go right ahead. But it's like, don't be this two-sided coin. Don't sit there and brag about it, and at the same time yell at the person that did it for you. It's like, I don't know.
Right, because,
It,
you did such a great job in
yeah,
Sandra, and it takes time to get these, type of projects done, and it was a nice part, but what the city did was state, the city of Flint declared Black Lives Matter in an official City of Flint resolution, and this is June 2020. The city of Flint passed a resolution to support implementation of a duty to intervene for sworn and unsworn Flint Department employees. Mayor Neely began forming a coalition for Black mayors to address issues of systemic racism on a statewide level. Chief Phil Hart is instituting truth, racial healing, and transformation training for the Flint Police Department. I miss Chief Hart. He was a great he's now with another municipality because he understood race and the issues with race.
yes.
Um, the city of Flint passed a resolution to denounce the use of illegal restraint methods and create a zero tolerance policy for this use. The city of Flint passed a resolution to declare racism a public health crisis. The city of Flint will draft a new ordinance forbidding bias crime reporting to make it illegal for anyone to report a crime because of the color of someone's skin made them nervous. Well, we might have a problem with that with the city council because I got someone who keeps saying I made threats and she was trying to tower over me. Well, this is interesting. She might be in a city violation. So I didn't know.
Uh,
So we're all learning. So, when you have these projects, um, you
so my question is, how many of those other projects are still continuing today?
I'm gonna take that he just mentioned in that resolution. I don't know about any of them, to be honest,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, when
So
you take the glory for something just for a press,
right,
if you
and it's
have
only
to
been a
believe
few
it.
years. And it's only been a few years. Okay,
Right,
it's not going to change that fast.
right. Now, do you know that the police department did get the truth in racial healing, that
Yep,
they
I do
did get
know that.
that. Chief
Yep.
Howard was a big proponent on that. The ones in the process, I don't know. And then
But
they
I mean,
said
it
that
should.
they're supposed to
That's
be.
continue. That's still continual work. I think so.
It is complete.
It's people don't change overnight. You know, it takes a lot of work to get to the change where we need to be, to where it's not an issue anymore.
Right. And I'm gonna bring up some of the, I'm gonna move on from the Black Lives Matter
Yeah.
because I hope, I'm gonna keep pushing this issue and I hope that the other artists will help us also so that
Oh
we
yeah.
can get that retouched. Because the artwork is everywhere. And Mickey, if you can put up that other one where some of them, because like I say, 307 murals. My favorite one is the one where I'm behind. You and I are actually in it together. Where
Ah, Zulu painter.
yeah, where
Yes.
Ella Fitzgerald was taking a bite out of my head bun, where it was so cute. I mean, the murals are so beautiful and like they
Yeah.
tell a story. So here's some of your work that we have now on the screen, and
Yep.
these are just some small samples of the artistic ability and creativity that the artists who come from all over they do. Um, so I can't, there was so here's some of them. I don't even know the location of all of them because, like I said, I had someone telling
I
me.
do.
Okay, well okay. Scroll down, Mickey, or up, or is it? Yeah. I want. Where is the one with the man in the blue with the blue
That
background?
one was on North Saginaw. It burnt down last year.
No.
Yep. That there. You know where the mural is, where the lady is eating an apple and there's water coming out.
Okay. Yep.
It was on the building that was next to it. It burned down.
Oh, I that was a
So,
nice one. And then here's one
well,
coming up.
that's a funny story behind that one.
Really?
Yeah. So he originally was painting something totally different.
Uh-huh.
And then when he got to the wall and he was getting ready to project his image and all this other stuff, and he met this guy up there that was at the liquor store across the street, and they were sat there and talked for a while. And
Uh-huh.
he's like, "Hey, do you mind if he told him his told the artist his whole backstory. The artist is from South Carolina. Told him his whole backstory. And he's like, you know, you need to be represented in this community. He's like, can I take your picture and put it on the wall? And
Oh,
so he did a
wow.
photo shoot right there, and he took the picture and put it on the wall. He asked me if it's all right if he changed his image, and I told him it was fine. But so that's how that story. So that guy on that wall was actually someone that lived in that neighborhood for many years. A lot of his relatives, grandkids, all kinds of stuff lived in that neighborhood. And the artist is the same artist that painted the big lion downtown that says "Fear Less."
Okay.
So yeah,
The artist is phenomenal, and I like when you put ordinary people because each person's life is a story. I'm gonna
yep,
go into, the golden leaf. We got the one that's the colorful one that we've got
yep,
down there, and I think in that one and I see there's the one with you and, Lottie, and
yep.
what's the artist's name next to you?
Oh my God, Will.
Will, okay.
Yep.
And yeah, and it's funny.
Actually, he's actually a visual artist that does 3D imaging, and
Really?
he's creating a 3D AR project with our murals for us that we're hoping to release pretty soon.
Oh,
He's
wow.
putting up the images. He scanned like 30 to 50 of our murals here.
So there's another one down there. I'm behind my favorite mural at the Golden Leaf because Golden Leaf is 100 years old, y'all, and the
Yep.
oldest black social club in the state of Michigan, I believe. Um,
That
and
was such a fun night.
there's always a fun night at the Golden Leaf. But here's
Oh
the thing:
yeah.
people on Wednesday nights, it's artist music, it's an art. People of all color go Wednesday nights to the
Well, that
Golden
was
for
fun
music.
Saturday night.
That was I go anytime.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like to talk politics on that, we sit out there on the
Yeah.
front porch, and if you can hang in there, we're talking politics with the men on that porch, you're good because you're going to get schooled. They gonna put you through it. I have been put
Oh yeah.
through it, and I had to earn their respect. And when I walk in, Sherman runs the bar. He's like, "Hey, Beulah," because
Well,
it's a
I
funny
know I earned their
family.
respect that night. You
Really?
remember the incident, right?
Which one?
With the drunk guy,
Oh God, I can't remember because
the drunk guy that wanted to start a fight
Oh, yeah,
that I
yeah.
picked up and drug across the yard and
That
threw him out.
yeah, that was not good, but so, Mickey, put up another slide because there's so many beautiful creative works, and what I wanna tell people while he's getting is, when you drive around town, take a look at the murals, let's have an appreciation, for the artwork
Well, it's funny
and
because
highlighting them.
I get asked all the time what are my favorite murals, and one of the things about our murals is it's a very diverse collection. Right,
Very.
we've got all kinds of different art. Yes, you may not like 100% of the murals. It might not be your type of art, but you're gonna find something in there you're gonna like. Okay,
Out of
but they're all high
307
quality.
yeah, you
I'm
know?
not saying none of them are low quality murals. They're all high quality murals, but it just may not be your style.
And
Some
that's
people like photorealistic, some people like cartoonish, some people like graffiti writing. There's all different type of styles that people like. That some people like abstract. Some people, they're all different things, and you have a little bit of everything in there. I mean, we got pointillism, we've got all kinds of different kind of art in the city of Flint, and it's great because so many community members have had so much input on what's went on. There's been lots of workshops, lots of meetings, lots of all kinds of great stuff to get what to try to match artists up with what they're looking for,
right.
and still be able to give everybody the freedom of creativity and get everybody what they want and give everybody in the city ownership of the murals.
So what would you tell people to do because we're gonna be closing out.
Yeah.
this first segment of it. But people stay on because I don't want to, I'm gonna get a little bit more controversial, and I don't want Joe to have to be in that. So,
Uh-huh. Well,
you know,
the Picture Six app has the most updated, I think, mural list on it. So you can
okay,
download that. Pixel,
who has the most updated list?
Pixel Sticks, Pixelstix.
Okay, and if someone could please put that in the chat, if
It's
you
a
can,
free app.
it's a free
So,
app. Put that
anyway,
in
to
the
answer
chat.
my question, my favorite murals, it's hard to say because every mural there has different memories attached to them to me that either with the artist, with the communities, or with both. And the whole process of design to implementation and all the artists stayed at my house. So I've had
That
over,
house is a Victorian, huge
yeah,
home. Was it like
yeah,
3
the
floors?
house I lived at, it was a 3-story Victorian. We've had over 150 artists stay there.
Well, I wanna tell
So,
you, I appreciate what you do in your hand and your
thank you.
artwork and making sure that your artwork and with Sandra Branch also, that the artwork was inclusive of everybody in the
Yeah,
community. And, you can find a little bit of something from professionals to your story about the everyday person who was just there to say, "Hey, let's change that." And I like those ordinary stories because people's lives tell a story. Now,
oh,
I
yeah.
wish I could keep you on longer, but Imma get a little bit controversial. But to
All
wrap it
right,
up, the Black Lives Matter mural, you and Sandra, you plan it. We're gonna keep in touch and stay on this. So
all
it
right,
did not. We're hoping to get it repainted. So Joe, I'm
all
gonna let
right,
you go, and Mickey, if you can log off, I gotta take my earphones off. Joe,
all
from
right. Thank you for having me, Tanya.
thank you. I'm gonna have you back. What are you
All
talking
right,
about?
but
I got
maybe let's do it live down here.
Look, we got 307 dates me and you gonna have to go on with those mirrors that we're gonna talk about when I go through all of them.
We could do a live show down here too.
Hey, listen, I know where you at now. I love Mexico, okay? Love,
Uh,
love it. Mexico was good to me each
well,
time I've been.
a quick plug: we are going to be having our festival the first week of October, so we're going to be
Okay,
installing a bunch of murals. Then we've got one going on right now on North Saginaw for Flint, Flint and NAC Neighborhood Action Council. They're
okay.
commissioning a mural on North Saginaw Street between Pearson and Carpenter. Go check that one out. It's going to be an amazing, amazing
Oh,
mural.
the
Johnny
festival is
Fletcher's
in
down there putting
October.
it out.
Do you have the
So
actual date for October for the festival?
October 1st to the 7th.
Okay, October 1st to the 7th. So when you
Yep.
get the information, make sure you get it to me because I love a good festival.
All right. Sounds great.
All right, thanks, Joe, for coming on. I
Yep.
appreciate you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. So, Mickey, now we gonna go. Am I back on, or do I need to put? Okay, so them headphones get a little warm. So we're going. So what? And I appreciate Joe Scapani. He's in Mexico, coming on to clear up the misinformation. We are getting misinformation from council people, from the administration, who they will tell you don't listen to misinformation. It is the people saying don't listen to misinformation who are giving the misinformation, or should I say, just lies. Lie, 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 lie is what it is. And it's misinformation. So, Michigan Department of Transportation to do a rollback, they're the ones who stated how to paint it, how to get it done, what type of paint to use. It's the same as Michigan Department of Transportation. So, when we check people and we make sure, what we're hearing, if it don't make sense, check into it. And I appreciate Joe Scapani for that, because when that came up, the misinformation to minimize what Miss Yolanda Gentry was talking about when she was there. That's very upsetting. So we're going to go into a next clip because we talk about inclusiveness. Our city council meetings can sometimes get a little heated, a little hot, a little questionable, and sidewalks and trees would seem to be a hot topic, and ARPA funds. But sidewalks came up, and I always say we got to have the uncomfortable conversations to heal and to move on. So, Mickey, can you put up the part where Dr. Padroni from Wayne State University came and spoke at our Flint City Council meeting? Let's roll it.
Evening, Council. My name is Dr. Tom Pedroni, and I'm an associate professor at Wayne State University. I research how to end persistent inequality in predominantly Black communities in Michigan, like Flint. Why do sidewalks still need to be repaired in the First Ward? At last Wednesday's council meeting, we learned, at least according to Councilman Pfeiffer, a white man like me, that it's the third term Black councilman from Ward 1 who is at fault. Councilman Pfeiffer, let me say this as a white man like you. It is immoral when we white people are not aware of our own history and our own complicity in the conditions in which many Black or poor families live. When we as white people don't know about redlining or don't understand the way our cities, including Flint, have systematically enabled the well-being of most white people while constraining the life chances of most Black people, it shows that we do not know our own history. The good news is that the information is out there, including in Flint libraries right now for free. In books like Demolition Means Progress, Flint, Michigan, and the Fate of the American Metropolis, or the recent special issue of Critical Sociology called Flint and the Racialized Geography of Indifference. Ignorance of this history does not let us off the hook. Genuinely loving this city would mean taking the time to learn about the long, sad, and ongoing history of Flint urban renewal, benefiting mostly well-to-do whites on the back of the city's poor and the city's Black people, especially in the North End. The benefits that are supposed to accrue to ordinary people from these initiatives, and I'll wrap it up, almost never come because the well-to-do and well-connected are always making sure their plate is filled up 8 times over, as with the ARPA money. Before.
So you think you know Wix, do you?
A little technical difficulty.
Really? First up, we've got
or the poor get any. Our job and our responsibility as white people is to put an end to that tragic and brutal history. The weight of our soul as white people is determined by the degree to which we refuse to become the errand boys of those well-to-do people who can never get enough. All right, sir. When more of us are ready to do that, the First Ward and its sidewalks will look better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now you're going to play. Do you have Councilman Pfeiffer's response to that? Okay, and so when we talk about and I can sum it up because one of his responses was Dr. Pedroni's response was in some of the key things well-to-do. He said from one white man to another white man that we have to understand, redlining, systemic racism. And then we deal with generational wealth, how things can be passed down. We had 2 of our council members, Eva Worthing and Judy Priestley, both stated through generational wealth, they were able to get their grandparents' homes through generational wealth. So I think that when we talk about, and people don't like, and it's very sensitive. People don't like talking about it, but we got to have these conversations because they don't get it. Here it is. Dr. Pedroni was stating why they don't get it, and then we had 2 say, "Well, I had my grandparents' home, and I'm now living in it." You can. It's not the same. You as a Black woman, your opportunities. I have to understand that my opportunities are not the same. I don't have the same things. When someone gets a head start or a 400-year head start, how do you ever catch up in the race? How? That was one of the reasons for affirmative action, was to help make the playing field even. Not that you aren't qualified, because a lot of these jobs and positions people get because it's who you know. Who do you know? So people were upset about with Councilman Pfeiffer, and him and I actually have a really good relationship, rapport with each other. And we haven't talked about this yet. But when he made a statement, I came back to speak after he did to give my opinion. And his statement was talking about the sidewalks because Councilman May said he doesn't get sidewalks on his side of town, and in his part, he was saying that on the other side of town that they didn't have to pay for their sidewalks. And then Councilman Pfeiffer and him went back with that, and they've had this little dialogue, this tug that he's going. So Councilman May was saying, well, if they didn't have to pay on your side of town, why should they have to? Well, he did state why do they have to pay on the north side of town, which is over 90% Black. And so that raised some questions. They had a banter back and forth, but Dr. Padroni's statement was Councilman Pfeiffer did speak directly to it, and he wanted to respond. And he made some key points. He stated, you have a Black mayor, you have a Black city administrator, you have a Black police chief, and he didn't, I don't believe, got down to we have a Black fire chief. And so basically, you have a lot of key Black people as department heads in key leadership positions. So if we have these people in key leadership positions, how come we don't have sidewalks on the Black side of town? Now I know this may be sensitive to some people. Okay, you still queuing it up. Okay. So when we talk about this, and people may not like it, but he's, his things, you got Black people that were elected, and I'm paraphrasing, and they're in key positions. Why don't we have sidewalks on the Black side of town? All those department heads where we have crime, why doesn't our Black police chief make sure that the crime in the Black community, where's his public safety plan? Where's our public safety? We talk about getting the sidewalks fixed? We have a Black mayor. Why aren't the sidewalks fixed on the Black side of town? So my interpretation when you talk about it's kind of like, well, maybe we need to get some new Black people because the Black people we got are not representing us. Are we ready, Mickey, to roll that? Okay, let's hit it.
It has completely to do with someone's ability and fight to get a job done. Effort and merit go more than race. Plain and simple. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I thank you, Mr. Pfeiffer. Anyone else would like to speak?
And to feel that they had an opportunity to win it anyway.
You got a Black police chief, but yet it's the white person's fault. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Race is not a factor. Race is not a factor when it comes to sidewalks not being fixed. It has completely to do with someone's ability and fight to get a job done. Effort and merit go more than race. Plain and simple. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I thank you, Mr. Pfeiffer. Anyone else would like to speak?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Okay, I don't want to hear because I'm not going to allow misinformation to be put out there with that. So when he stated effort and merit is more than race. Now, Pfeiffer, no, me and him, we talk and we get along and we line up almost 100% when it comes to public safety. But effort and merit does not go. It's not more than race. It's just not. You can have some very talented people with effort and merit, and they don't get it because they don't know. And if you have had the hookup for years because they're your dad's friends, and it's just the color of your skin can dictate to how you get a job. So fighting to get a job done, nobody should have to be fighting to get your sidewalk done. That should not be a fight. Nobody should be in. Mickey, how many minutes we got? Okay, I want to go into microaggressions because they have to understand microaggressive terms. When you minimize something, microaggression terms. You got that, Mickey? Because when in one of those terms, when he minimized, that's a microaggression term. So this is a learning period for my colleagues on which we need some training clearly together. We need some racial healing. Um, it says micro. It's going to be. Um, it should be. I sent it today. So when we talk about micro, I sent it from my iPhone, so it came from the iCloud. Okay. So, well, I'll talk about when we talk about, and I'm gonna define what microaggression is because we need to know when we use it and making terms like effort and merit goes more than race. It does not, and that you're minimizing. And when you do that, that is a microaggression term and phrase. And when we use those, you have to be careful because you're putting out information in a city that's already divided, and our city is unfortunately divided. How do we get it to be undivided? I honestly don't even know at this point. Um, I really don't. And let me see. I thought that one I had sent you because that one is s- uh, yeah, yeah. So when we talk about, well, I know I've got it in here at some place because I usually keep, I don't, you know, but what I want to talk when we use microaggression terms, say like when Eva Worthing said ghetto, that is a microaggression term. And when we get so comfortable with using them, you have to be sensitive. Number one, um, because in the job that we do, um, we have to be sensitive because there are others in other races. Yeah, it's not even saying on here, Mickey. I don't know. It's yeah, because it's not even okay. And then it's gonna pop in. But so when we talk about microaggression terms and we talk about how we use them and what is defined, what is a microaggression term, and how do we identify um, microaggression defined? Um, and let me see, because I'm gonna have to go back. I'm pulling that back up. Okay. Microaggressions are the everyday slights, insults, put downs, invalidations, and offensive behaviors that people experience in daily interactions with generally well intentioned individuals who may be unaware that they have engaged in demeaning ways. Okay, so but I agree with Councilman Fife with the part that we got the blacks that we got in place. We may need to replace them because we got black people in positions, and you can't get anything done on the black side of town with black leaders. Are them leaders really black and have the best interests of black people? We couldn't get the Black Lives Matter retouched and repainted, and then they told misinformation, which is their term, misinformation. The people who are saying misinformation are the people giving the misinformation, or they're lying, just lying. Lied on the Michigan Department of Transportation, MDOT, just lied. When we talk about these microaggressions, and people have to understand, so it was a slight, Councilman Pfeiffer. You and I have it. We get along. I don't think it was intentional from him that he said that. And I think that him and Councilman Mays go back and forth, and they both get heated. That meeting was hot. It was hot like an egg on the sidewalk down in, I'm gonna say, in Arizona. It went back and forth. But you have to be careful because again, microaggressions are the everyday slights, insults, put downs, invalidation. It was invalidating the sidewalks needed to be done on the north side, 90% minority black side of town. And offensive behaviors that people experience in everyday interactions. Dr. Pedrani it was not a good response that he made to Dr. Pedrani at Wayne State University. It was just not. If I had a known that that was going to be his response, um, I wish he had a thought about it. I think he was heated at Councilman Mays, and Councilman Mays and Councilman Pfeiffer are now in a they're kind of going head to head with each other, and I hate to see that, and I hate to see it coming out in our council meetings. And but when people say they don't get anything done, no, we do. We finish every agenda. Our stuff gets passed. I did not vote on the budget though, as I stated, because of my 12 reasons why, because we still haven't gotten the ARPA budget. We haven't. But when Dr. Padrone he spoke, and we talk about, what's the difference? My I will not have the same experience as a white woman. I won't. I have been in stores when I walked in and they followed me around, and I seen some shoplifters, and they were not a white lady cleaning the store out, cleaning the store out, and they were following me, literally following me, and I'm like, wait a minute, this lady had more stuff. And it was funny because it ain't funny, you get angry because you expect certain stuff. When you go to stores, they would, try to say, how are you going to pay for this? Are you paying cash for that? And I had a lady walk behind me because I gave to myself about 25 years ago. I bought Waterford glasses because I wanted to make sure that when I made my mimosas, because I worked really hard, I paid myself with some Waterford glasses. And the lady come telling me, "Well, ma'am, do you realize that how much those are per glass?" I'm like, "Look, I'm in the Waterford. I know how much they cost." We don't sell them as just one. They're sold as a set of two. Okay, and I understand that. But I don't need you to tell me that, because you don't question what my money is. And that's what we do. Sometimes they will put us in the place that's comfortable for them. They put us in a place that's comfortable for them. Don't put me in a place of comfort for you. Don't do that. Don't do that for me, and don't count nobody's money. It's some things that you just can't do. Mickey, how many minutes we got? Okay. So when we do that, we have to be sensitive. You have to be sensitive as to what it is I went through in my life. What is it that I had to endure as a black woman? And black women, we catch it. We catch it. And the is Malcolm X said, the most disrespected person on the earth is the black woman. The black woman. So it's a black race. And when you bring up race, a lot of my colleagues, they get bent out of shape. Oh, Judy Priestley. I mean, she's like, we don't talk race. No, we do talk race, because you said you had a colored friend. You had a colored friend. That surprised me. She said she had a black boyfriend. I'm like, okay, Judy, that must have been that 70s thing. But, I think that we have to have these uncomfortable conversations so we know how to talk and to deal with each other. Racial sensitivity. And that's one of my requests, that I'm sending in to our clerk. Number one, we need to learn how to talk to each other and get along on that council, because we have a problem. In order for us to learn how to get along, we got to have the uncomfortable conversations, but it has to be with respect. Well, I don't know, we may need to have a couple of officers there too to make sure everybody stay in line. But we gotta set aside what our differences are and understand that our differences make us, it's a beautiful thing. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't. But I want them to, we need to celebrate our differences. But we cannot minimize and say that the black community is doing well. We have a black police chief. You are right, Councilman Pfeiffer. And we need to have a comprehensive public safety plan. There are more lives of black people getting killed. And so our police chief should be conscious of that, and he should have a plan. So I get what you're saying with that. You're absolutely right with that. Our mayor did not want us to put Black Lives Matter mural just to retouch it. It's already down there, just to retouch it. He's a black mayor. How dare you not want to have that back down and retouch, and you a black man? I mean, I never had anybody tell me as a black woman in business, not ever. And I dealt with white Republican men. I had to take it back. I had one. We was in Cabo San Lucas. He called Obama my boy before. When you had Obama, your boy. Mickey, that didn't go off good, but I didn't even have to get to him first because it was a couple of twins from Seattle. They lit his behind up. They lit him up. And then I polished him off to let him know you respect the man and you respect the office because I don't care who the president is. You're going to put some respect on that name. You're going to talk crazy in my presence. Not, no. With all the mess with these presidents that we didn't have. So when we talk, and especially Trump, I mean, he done did he declassifies files that he's taken home just by saying they're declassified. Come on. So when we talk about how do we bring our community together, we have to bring our council together. And we're going to have these uncomfortable conversations because this council doesn't get it. You know, they don't get it. You got a person who was cheering, making pot shots at people, low blows. She's made a janky video. She has cussed out a pastor, cussed out an ordained pastor twice, not once, but twice. So when it's respect for the community, and for each other, they have to have it. I'm not perfect. She mentioned that I sent her a text message that was, that I said some things she didn't like. I sure did, because you know what? She talks all kind of crazy and slick to people. And that day I was not having it. I'm tired of the mess with her sending me. And then I gave her phone number. No, I hadn't even talked to the lady. But when a resident calls you, take care of them like I do. And then I sent her the text back and told her, you need to call her. She will tell you. And so, yeah, I did. I'm not going to play with her. Something is wrong with her. So when Councilwoman Jerry Winfrey Carter states to her that, your energy is bad, your vibe is bad, she's telling the truth, because she will act like she's taking this higher road. Just like she's, and as people don't want to work with me. No, because you lie underneath and talk crazy to people. You're very disrespectful to people. Just like she want to come charging at me. If we want to do better, we all got to do better. But we need to be in some training and to learn how to work and to get along. Because at the rate we going, it's not gonna happen, because it's too many hurt feelings. Mickey, how many seconds? Okay, I'm gonna close out. I want y'all to enjoy y'all Saturday. I needed more time. I'm gonna have to do a part 2 to this, is what I'm thinking, Mickey, because this ain't even enough to get into it. But anyways, y'all, peace, love, and see y'all.